Welcome to Speculation, the home of new software, new cameras. Ran into our computer board so that I can put a delay on these guys. And guess what? Nothing tonight, but now it does. 30 minutes late. Robbie Davis, welcome aboard, man. I'm sorry about that, but it looks like we've got everything. And they're seeing your smiling face. Robbie Davis from Davis, Kessler, and Davis in 4K if they want to rebroadcast us now.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's still in quarantine, guys. Still holding down the fort. Can't get a haircut. Can't do much, but happy to be here.
His pores look quite congested in 4K. I mean, perhaps you should do a facial.
Yeah, you might want to do something. Right? You're a little more protected. I can look like this, but I really think after a month and a half of watching the Johnny Depp trial, I could get my JD license right now. I really think I could take the bar and pass.
Because that's definitely law, what you're watching there.
Yeah.
That's litigation. Ask Rob.
Between the OJ trial and now the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, I think I've done more hours in the classroom than most attorneys.
I do have to admit, I heard the verdict today. I did not follow it much.
I didn't even hear it. What happened?
Depp got awarded $15 million. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe $10 million in compensatory and $5 million in punitive.
Yes.
And then she got awarded $2 million in compensatory. So a $13 million swing to him. And now
so they countersued, obviously, but that's an interesting verdict, right? And what if they
appeal? So Raj, the funny part of, and we'll get a little legally right now. Sorry for people that don't care, but
no, they do.
So and this was just what I saw through text messages. So the jury goes out, they're deliberating, they find out they do the fault portion of the jury verdict form, and then completely just omit the damages. So the judge gets it and is looking at it. Is like, we got to send you guys back in there because y'all didn't do this right.
Talk about a mistrial, dude.
Yes, I had to send them back after that, and then they calculate the damages.
The best part to me is Johnny Depp wasn't there for the hearing today with the judgment,
which
he played with Jeff Beck last night.
Yeah. Jeff Beck.
So generally, and that's what makes this so fascinating. So generally, that's a safe gamble because so what happens is you close proof, the judge reads the jury instructions, the jury goes out to the deliberation rooms. Once they walk in, they have that verdict form and it's signed, and whether your client's there or whoever's there or not, they've already signed it. But once they got there, they messed it up, and it's like, oh, he's not even here. He doesn't even care. And so it could have very well easily came back and then be like, just zero it all out and then move on.
What type of grounds are there for appeal, retrial, anything? Because that sounds like a jury.
I didn't follow it, but just the clips that I saw, I'm sure there's all kinds of issues.
I'm just going to say, dude.
Johnny Depp could have walked.
We don't think.
But he hung himself text messages. And that's where her $2 million. Johnny Depp.
I imagine it's going to get settled pending appeal because she's going to appeal it, and then it'll get settled somewhere, probably the $6-7 million range, I'd guess.
I don't think any money is going to be exchanged at all.
I don't know anything about her. I don't know if someone told me she was in Mermaid.
Dude, I read she's in debt.
And Aquaman.
Yeah.
Aquaman?
I doubt she has $13 million to satisfy a verdict.
So
she must have signed a prenup,
She got $7 million from the divorce on the content that she would donate it to charity.
$7 million?
The
guy's worth like $200 million.
She's failed to live up to the $7 million in donations to like the ACLU and Children's Hospital.
They were only married for a bit, though, weren't this is none of us have any idea what we're talking about.
No idea.
But I feel like
that $7 million's like him sneezing, and he gives it. But he's done a lot for charity. Plus, he
Hey.
was in Private Resort with Andrew Dice Clay in 1982, which is a great movie.
I mean, that Pirates of the Caribbean money, that's big money.
Before we move on,
It's Disney.
My 12-year-old daughter and her friends celebrated like nothing else that Johnny Depp won today. They all had followed this. All the kids, all the team had followed this very close, and they were celebrating.
It's like our OJ, but with far less seriousness of death involved.
I read an article why the internet turned on Amber Heard. I don't want to go into details, but it was quite universal.
Before we get into so I think you got some congratulations to roll out, Raj. You had something special happen this week for a young man that is living in your household.
Who? Like, I'm not. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought you were talking about me, and I peaked like 30 years ago. But, the young man made the All-Star team, and they had a tournament this past weekend. They were the East Brainerd Elite, and they won the last two games against Signal Mountain, which was their best team. We're talking about 7-year-olds, by the way. 2 walk-offs. One was 24-23. And the next one was an extras. It's a 1-inning playoff. And he's not the best hitter on the team, but he won MVP, mainly because of defense. He's rangy, and he played shortstop during the regular year. But some of these little dudes are phenomenal in the infield. And he made like 6 or 7 catches, including one diving, where he was just like straight Acuna or Mookie Betts, held the ball up. And he was like, yeah. It was just nice to see defense rewarded, because defense wins championships. Offense scores runs. But no, I mean, we were quite proud. It's a good team, good league. And my mom told me he's already better than you always were. I'm like, I didn't ask you that, but thank you very much. He is better than I've ever been. I was pretty good too, but
I can tell by looking. He's a better athlete than you. I know he's just 7, but I can tell.
You're right.
It's gotta be better fantasy.
But thank you for asking very much.
Well, we're proud of him, and shout out from the RiverCity-Media. We're very, very proud of him. But this is a good opening into baseball. Let's get into college baseball a little bit. It's been a lot of fun. If you're a Vols fan or a graduate, they currently sit with 7 losses for the year, over 50 wins. Phenomenal. Number 2 in the country in hitting, number 2 in the country in ERA, ranked number 1. I guarantee you the SEC tournament has never gotten higher ratings from Bristol to Memphis than it did this year. Of course, Vandy makes the tournament. Georgia makes the tournament. Ole Miss makes the tournament. LSU makes the tournament. Alabama stubbed from the tournament, which was a big deal. And Florida's a host site who got to the finals with Tennessee.
I've got a question for you, Randall. Is this kind of a perfect storm in the sense that, like, they were a great team last year, but most people came back, which is kind of rare. It says a lot about the coach and everything, but isn't it rare for this many talented kids to come back when obviously there are plenty that are worthy of going professional?
Well, they have 5 playing single and double A from that team last year that went to the College World Series. So
the guys this year are ridiculously good. They're so good.
Robbie, I don't know if you saw any, but they gave up 5 runs to Florida. 3 of those was to a pitcher who throws 105 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of anybody at this level that's not named Nolan Ryan throwing 105 miles an hour.
The ball's got to move, though. If it doesn't move, it doesn't matter.
The Florida guy went 300 yards straight back with it. But Robbie, UT graduate, are you excited about this?
Oh yeah, like I mean, yeah, I'll fully admit I'm a bandwagon fan right now. Like I've caught on to this team. I mean, watched them last year, really into this year. But you talk about talent, amassing talent. They've got 4 first-round pitchers, maybe 5.
Maybe 5, yeah.
And
Those
And
top
then-
three, though. Jeez.
And then that lineup is murderers row. Like, man, this team to lose 7 games in the SEC, playing in the SEC, who has got this many teams into the College World Series or the tournament. Man, this is now, and we'll talk about later how hard it is to win this thing.
Absolutely.
But man, an exciting team to watch, a cocky coach, and this kind of, to put a parallel to football, this kind of reminds me of the early Spurrier Florida teams. Like, we're doing it different, and we're out there. We're brass. We're cocky. We will call out other teams if we don't like them. We're doing the thing.
One thing, though, it's not football, though. In baseball, unfortunately, the best team doesn't always win. Are they the best team in America? Without a doubt. But somebody can get hot. You know, sometimes you can get scared. They're college kids, and somebody could take a lead. You know, Dollander, Beam, and Burns, good Lord, they're all they're 25-2 together, like a 2 ERA and a million strikeouts. Those are 3 guys. Most people have 1 or 2 that can go in the regionals, which means I do believe they'll be fine. Beam is a guy that's not a strikeout pitcher. The other 2 are great, but you never know, man. If somebody gets lucky and they're down 4 or 5-0 in baseball, the best team doesn't always win. And admittedly, it would be a shame this year because they are clearly above and beyond the best team in America.
Matter of fact, this is how deep that goes. The number 1 team in America last won the College World Series in 1990. Miami was the last team in 99 to win the College World Series as the number 1 team entering the College World Series.
I thought USC won their 12th, or maybe it was 98 or 2000, where they went to the losers bracket and battled back. I thought it was 98 or 99, but they were not the number 1 team. Jock Jones, if anybody remembers, was the best player on that team. I mean, I trust you. You know stats better than I do, but
I was amazed by it to the point I went and read up today what happened to the number 1 teams. A lot of the number 1 teams, well, and we know Vandy's success.
You're talking about the number 1 overall seed, not
Yeah.
just the number 1 seed.
Yes.
Yeah.
both. They're everything. Vandy with Rocker and them, did they won it all, correct? No, they didn't.
They won one a couple of years ago, but they were like the number 6 seed when they won it. It's really super tough to me. To me, there's no sport in college athletics that is this environment leads to upsets. It's a double elimination 4-team weekend tournament followed by weekend series. And look, if Tennessee wins their bracket, they have to go play the number 16 seed Georgia Southern team, who is ridiculous.
They have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose.
Ridiculous. They're the 16 seed. They're maybe
They're good.
4th or 5th best team in the country because it's Georgia Southern. They're the 16 seed. Robbie, you got something?
I'll give you one other certain tournament that actually makes other things harder to win. It's the basketball version of this, which is single elimination, and different shots count for different points. But
I think it's harder.
I agree with Randall, though. It's harder in baseball. You know, look at the Braves last year. When you get hot at the right moment, you can beat anyone. Were they the best team in baseball throughout the year? No, they were 500 at the break. Eddie Rosario went unconscious. Now he's hitting like 100. Yes, he's hurt. It's about who gets hot, and it's a shame this year because Tennessee is easily the best team in the country, but it doesn't mean anything when it comes to baseball.
Robbie,
but it's still multiple elimination, and in basketball, a ref can change the entire game.
Absolutely.
The ref can say 3 quick fouls and boom, that game's over.
Randall, do they have review in college baseball?
They have it on plays in the field, but not on balls and strikes, which probably cost Tennessee at least 2 games this year.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about basketball versus baseball, and we'll end it up. I think you're right. but I think there's only probably 7 or 8 teams that I could come up with that, or maybe there's more. Maybe there's 12 teams that could win basketball. I literally think there's 30 teams that could win the baseball tournament of the 64.
And I'm
Usually
not a
the cream rises to the crop.
I'm
Like
not
3
a
of the 4
college
are generally
baseball buff.
predictable. Sorry.
What's been the highest seed that's won the baseball tournament? Do we know that?
No,
Highest seed a 1.
I not since
Highest or lowest, however you want to.
Lowest. I was actually Googling that.
one year Tennessee went with Todd Helton, and that year they were in the top 3 or 4, and the team that won it was 11, and that's the only one I can remember off the top of my head.
This says Fresno State became the lowest seeded team, 4th in the regionals, to win the national championship in NCAA history, and the 5th consecutive baseball team to win that title. That was not one of the 8 national seeds.
Yeah,
Which tells you, the national seeds rarely come out, which, again, if they're all neck and neck, I know Stanford's number 2, no problem. But I do have a issue when you got clearly the best team in America. But rarely does a team have 3 starting pitchers like that in a great lineup. And pitching wins championships. So I'm not a fan of Tennessee. We all know that. But, good deserves the best, and they are easily the best team, and I wish them the best.
I would say you're never going to be shocked by anything that happens in college athletics.
No.
I would be surprised, though, if Tennessee doesn't at least make the final 4, final game. That's just – they're that loaded, absent any injury.
They're going to get everyone's best shot, though.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's, team like Georgia Southern, like Randall said, they're going to be unconscious, and they're a good team. So,
and it
hopefully,
hot pitcher, but Robbie,
one of them,
And I know it's going back a ways, but in 1982, North Carolina State won the tournament as a 10 seed, and that is the year that truly, I think, a team that was not even in the top 25 made a run, and by the tournament was maybe the best team. And I heard that team talked about the other day, and it was compared to if that team existed now, it would probably be a top 5 team because they shot more. They had no threes, but they shot more 3-range shots than anybody in the country.
Well, UConn won it not too long ago as a 7 seed, which is the 28th best team in the country if you think about it in that range.
Kemba went unconscious, kind of like Melo.
Well, that's kind of, I hate UConn, so anything they do, I cut. I just
that's girls basketball. Dudes basketball is different.
So I want to move on just a little bit, and that's a great segment. And anybody that I think I'm going to go if Tennessee gets the Super Regional. I think I will be there. We'll see.
Gotta go to Omaha. We'll contribute to your trip.
Yeah, I may be in Omaha. Y'all remember that text what I did and what refund. I got a little money in the bank. I may just make that trip. I've got Pittsburgh Panthers in the bank, but I could flip that over to College World Series easy and not go see Pittsburgh, Tennessee. So you'll see what happens. It may happen.
Tennessee's gonna kill them.
I wanna jump over a little bit and talk about recruiting. This week I made a guest spot on another show. And the whole show was about the difference in football recruiting. For a decade, football recruiting was strictly about you recruit it through the football season. The players' season ended in December and really heated up in December and January. You had a lot of commitments over the summer. Then recruiting kind of stopped during the season. And then you would come back in January. Everybody signed in February. They enrolled in July, June. It's not like that. And I think some of this is the effect of the transfer portal. More kids sign in December, which is a new thing, having a December signing period.
Yeah.
Also, the show that I was on was talking about Tennessee's late reports. There were 7 of them they called late reports. Do you know when these kids were reporting? May 15th. So everyone from Tennessee's 22 class will be there for the summer. Do you
The early enrollees.
Yeah, and do you remember just even 5 years ago, February was National Signing Day. I used to take it off because it was such a big day.
Oh, that was fun.
College football recruiting has changed, Robbie. It right now Tennessee has Nico Amalvoeva. I said that wrong. They have Nico in the house.
Better than I can do.
He's enrolling for bowl practice. So now that's the new thing.
Bowl practice? What does that mean?
He will graduate early, enroll in Tennessee, and take part in bowl practice.
Yeah.
Is this
That's smart though with Hooker to teach you? I mean,
yeah, it's absolutely. Is it the first step of getting rid of the senior year of high school? Or what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, look, all of this is if you're good enough, or if you're projected to be good enough, and now there's horror stories 10 miles long about kids that blew, or they were projected they didn't make it. But if you are good enough, all that matters is starting that clock to get in front of the pro scouts and get to the NFL. They're going to get paid now, which is good and good for them. And we've talked about that ad nauseum, and so has everyone else. We're all in agreement it's good for them to get paid. There probably needs to be something in play to kind of regulate it, but that's a different topic. But yeah, get on campus, get in front of boosters, get in front of advertisers. Hey, Firehouse Subs is sitting on Cumberland Avenue. Hey, the more you can get in front of them, the better. Get
Absolutely.
that money. It doesn't do you any good to sit in your high school town waiting for finals to get finished up when you've probably graduated earlier. You get to the town you're going to, town, city, whatever it is, get there, start making relationships, start getting paid, and start putting that money in the bank, and then ultimately get the big prize.
So
I think it's about money, personally, if I may. The early signing period essentially allows for not only kids to declare, but to enroll early, right? In spring, by the time the season starts, you're not coming for fall camp. Kids are ready to go. A lot of superstars, no longer wait for the last second, which we enjoyed February 3rd or 2nd, but now they do it in December. And yeah, I mean, the product is different. Now freshmen can just be sensational, which doesn't necessarily mean they weren't before, but I do believe the product is better. And we all love signing day. I love listening to like that college sports radio and declarations, but I think it's about a better product on the field.
Raj, I want to get back to you. You actually jumped ahead of my question, but I do have a question directly towards you about what you said. Nico can start his NIL once he enrolls at the University of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. There's a mini term over Christmas. So he enrolls over Christmas, gets to take part in the bowl practice, but that also starts the clock on his NIL. He fulfills 3 years of his NIL by, it seems impossible, but December of 2025, this kid that's 17 years old right now, December of 2025, he can declare his eligibility for the NFL draft. He starts the clock, starts getting his NIL money, but he also kicks a hole in that NFL draft opportunity.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And that's the flip side of this. It's a loophole. In basketball, there's a concern in that, I don't want to get too much into this, but back in the day with Kobe and Garnett, you can come straight out of high school. Then there was essentially a maturity level barometer, if you will. And many people thought that could have been culturally biased in a way. And in football, you've got to wait 3 years, and that's the most rigorous sport. Who's to say you're alive or have a knee after that? And the clock starts ticking earlier. In Nico's case, he's got a brilliant coach when it comes to quarterbacks and a brilliant guy to learn behind. So I don't think he'll be there that long. But yeah, it allows for them to leave earlier, which I think is completely fair.
The other, Robbie, is go ahead, Robbie, with your comment.
Oh, I was just going to say, with this whole new football recruiting landscape and this dynamics, can we touch on the Clemson dilemma they're in?
Yes, go
where
ahead.
It is essentially, look, they have a coach who was and maybe still very, very successful. He's won, I think, 2 championships, dominated the ACC, but he's not willing to adapt
At all.
And they owe him probably $100 million.
Respectfully, what does that mean that he's not willing to adapt? I mean, they're a top 5 team and by most accounts, but I know we've had this conversation, but I feel like there's a presumption where they're going to just like fall off the cliff, which I don't think that's going to happen. What does it mean that he's not willing to adapt?
He's unwilling to do the transfer portal. He's not on board with the NIL. So what you're saying is you're just going to sell Clemson? And I think Lane Kiffin hit the nail on the head. It doesn't matter what your facilities look like. If you're offering no money and someone else is offering $100,000 or more, they're going where the money is.
Has he flat out made those declarations? Because I didn't know that.
Yeah, he has been very negative of the NIL situation.
But as he said, I will not be a part of NILs, or
he has made. Let me take a second and say some things too here.
Please.
Clemson was also the most arrogant school about recruiting.
Yeah,
they would offer a kid, and I remember a kid from Nashville a couple of years, a 5-star recruit. They offered him, he didn't commit in what Dabo considered a reasonable time, and they pulled his offer.
Mm-hmm.
This kid went to Alabama, I think it was. What he has said is he refuses basically to take part in the open market, Raj.
They have an NIL program, and they call it RAIN, thanks to my friend Mr. Google.
Yes.
I haven't seen – you're right. I haven't seen it produce any kind of transfers, but, I mean, what we don't know could kill us. I literally don't know. I mean, what kind of idiot this day and age would be that stern about it? Like, what's he trying to prove?
They're saying that there's rumors that Dabo is very unhappy in college football right now.
Well, enjoy losing then, because everybody else is on board. You get left behind.
Florida's in the same boat. The Florida coach came out and said the same thing. Like, we're not paying players,
but nobody wants to go to Florida.
That could be we being the university, but Florida boosters don't have the cash that a lot of surrounding
Dude, Orlando and stuff, they got money. It's the SEC. I feel like that's a rationalization because kids don't want to go there anymore. Clemson was like a school to go to football wise, but now, like, does anybody really want to go to Clemson, South Carolina?
The large money boosters tend to be in South Florida. I think that's fair. Last year, Clemson's class finished 14th.
Which is crazy for them.
I mean, Florida's got cash, man. They've been good for 40 years.
Well, Florida's biggest booster owns the Dolphins, which is
what's
South
his name?
Florida.
That's not Wayne Huizenga anymore, is it?
No.
I guess that was like 20 years ago.
That was back in the Ace Ventura days.
What, dude?
But
speaking of those two guys that kidnapped Marino, like, they did not look like linemen at all. I was always offended by that.
You see certain schools that have been bad. One in Knoxville now has got all the recruiting momentum because they have a very successful NIL program. They're probably going to take 3 5-stars over the next 5-6 weeks. That wouldn't happen in Tennessee. I love Tennessee football, but 5-star Nico would not be going to Tennessee short of an NIL degree. Carnell Tate would not be going to Tennessee short of the NIL. Ray Magalua wouldn't be going to Tennessee short of an NIL.
Brew McCoy is going to be your best player, by the way.
Brew wouldn't be
I know for a fact.
for an NIL. Then
He's amazing.
Ole Miss was the second. Alabama, Southern Cal, and Ole Miss were the three highest finishers in the transfer portal. I mean, Texas A&M, the best class ever. You start seeing some things around Michigan State bringing in players now all of a sudden that you can see the schools that are not traditional recruiting powers start to bring people. I think it's going to change the landscape myself.
Well,
It's interesting how it undermines Texas A&M, right? Their best high school recruiting class ever. And suddenly NIL deals and transfer portals totally like steal their thunder. Perhaps that's appropriate, but I thought that was funny.
The best recruiting class, according to Rivals, in the history of college football.
Ever. We'll see about that, but I'd rather get experienced kids that are talented than high school kids.
Yeah. For college football only fans, you're about to start realizing what college basketball fans realize, which is your roster is going to be a lot different every year, and get to know the new players and start to learn their names because they may not be there for long.
Stephen Ross.
Yes, Stephen Ross.
Stephen Ross owns the Dolphins. All right, guys. Final thoughts. I've talked to a couple of high school coaches too this week. As everybody knows, I am getting ready. God, I cannot believe how early high school football starts.
What are you talking about? June?
Yeah, we have games in 9 weeks, dude.
Come on.
We start the second week in August. We play jamborees the first week in August. We will be.
Kids are gonna die.
We did the same. We do it every year. You have the option of doing a week 0 and not playing and playing later in the year. But yeah, it's crazy. We'll be
insane.
Usually we're 4 games into the season, 3 or 4 games into the season by the time college football starts.
Out west, we start like mid-September.
Yeah,
that's really early, man.
So to a high school coach with a very high-profile recruit this week, and I asked him. I said, and this is a veteran coach of many, many years. And I said, what has changed? And I won't call his name because what he said, I could probably get him and a few other people in trouble. I said, what about this player's recruiting? What's happening with it? He says the following thing. Coaches come to visit. Coaches go through the process just like they always did. But the players have a whole group of people they're talking to not associated with the school. And recruiting is twofold. You have I'll say it from Tennessee's side. You have your Spire Sports that's talking to this recruit. You have the coaches talking to this recruit. And I ask him a question. I go, do you think Spire Sports knows who Tennessee wants? And he laughed really big and said, you could probably walk into Spire Sports and see Tennessee's recruiting board. So is it, Robbie, I asked that to ask you, is it that partnership? Is that the wave of the future? Your NIL company and your coaching staff. That's how you recruit.
Collective.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's doing it, I guess. I mean, yeah, I guess the answer is yes. The answer is unequivocally yes. You're going to have these money funds coming out, which it's not how it was intended, but the NCAA just effed it all up, man. There's no way to explain it. They just screwed up the whole issue and let them get blindsided by – you literally got blindsided by the train blowing its horn with its light on coming right at you down the tracks. Like, that's what happened in NCAA.
I want to hear your opinion. Is this any different than before, but now it's technically legal?
I think the money is different.
Oh
Who
no,
knows, right?
it's
It is
completely
definitely more.
different now because now the people paying the money can stagger it into a contract. And so they can sue if they break that contract.
But
If it's
conceptually,
but before
I saw the movie The Program, you know.
if it's in cash and McDonald's bags, they can take that cash and do whatever they want and it's gone. But now if
And
I
they don't
say I
report
pay
it?
you $8 million, you got to stay at University X for 3 years and go pro, it's 2 million, 2 million, 4 million. Then yeah, if you break that, I want my money back.
Damn,
So-
lawyers take half, and then you pay taxes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Nico's NIL got out to the general public, and they were longevity.
Yeah.
There were longevity clauses to him receiving the $8 million. Now, Raj, I want to ask you as a USC fan, and you've had incredible success in the portal. Jordan Addison signed. It was rumored that he got a $3.5 million NIL deal. I've never not agreed with you that USC has money floating everywhere. A lot of USC money, I feel like, probably don't care about football, but there's a lot that does.
Yes. They're, it's Hollywood. It's USC. I've said this many times before. Not only do they have, Haslam's probably the wealthiest booster aside from T. Boone Pickens, rest in peace, in the country. But, USC has very high profile people. And, back in the day with Pete Carroll, Snoop Dogg, Will Ferrell, and those guys all contributed to the program. Snoop's kid, Calvin Brodus Jr., even went to UCLA, and he still liked USC.
Yeah,
He didn't go long. He left to start his rap career. But
film. He's making films now.
Oh yes, apologies. But there's natural advantages of being in that area, and it's nice to finally see that. But yeah, I think kids recognize it. It's kind of shining a spotlight. It's Hollywood-esque now. Leinart, and there was always a story I joke about. Why did Leinart, even though Reggie Bush had a good career, why did they not do as great in the NFL? Because they took a pay cut. USC's got the biggest spotlight, in my opinion, in the country when it comes to everyone else. These kids become celebrities. But you're absolutely right. They don't have the most money per se, but there are a lot of natural advantages when you're in the world's second biggest market and the number one media market, really, when it comes to production in the world.
Well, and also,
and New York has zero college footprint.
Syracuse is the closest one, and that's 4 hours away.
And USC has most of the West Coast to itself.
Does now. Back in the day, Oregon was ripping us off. But yeah, usually the West Coast has a lot of talent. Number one team in the country is Modern Day in high school, which was a USC feeder. Tons of talent. But yeah, I talked about this before. Kevin Simon and other West Coast guys, they went to Tennessee, and at USC, they have to keep kids home. Don't go to Eugene. Don't go anywhere else. Alabama, doesn't matter.
I think USC's biggest problem is the Pac-12 network, and it's just utter failure.
Terrible. Awful.
Unwatchable.
Awful.
They can't get their games on TV.
I pay for Sling TV, whatever it is per month, just for that 4-month period, so I can watch Pac-12 football.
Yeah,
it's nearly impossible
to
to
attain. 11, just for the kickoff of these games, just because
Pac-12 after dark.
I like
2:30.
It's the weekend. I like to enjoy it, but as far as mainstream, they just gotta fix. They gotta fix it somehow.
It's pathetic, and they've got a new commissioner finally. Larry Scott left, but the SEC is the epitome of generating revenue opportunities and taking advantage of said opportunities, and the Pac-12 is the antithesis of that. It's pathetic, and we got pretty good schools out there, but we are stupid as hell.
Do you agree with the sentiment that's floated out in the general public right now? If you could somehow, as SEC, add USC, Ohio State, you could start your own national championship game that would be. To me, I don't. You add those three schools, what the U.S. along with Texas and Oklahoma, you have a monopoly at that point that you can do whatever you want to.
But to me, it's analogous to 40 years ago when you didn't always get the two best teams play against each other, which to me that is a distinct possibility there. Isn't there enough money in college football? I'm a regionalist, if you will. I would like to see the current playoff system expand, but the whole conference thing, does it affect any of us as fans, or does it just affect the conference and those that are making tons of money off of it? I think it's silly, but it's extremely exclusive in that sense, and perhaps that's the goal. I listen to Robbie. I have to use the restroom real quick.
I don't think, Robbie, Tennessee doing $200 million expansion or it's not expansion, actually a sinking of Neyland Stadium if there's not the conference money coming in either.
Well, conference money is just television money.
It's millions, isn't it?
And so, yeah, I mean, if you're so let's look at the NFL, because the NFL is the guiding principle for leagues, right? So the NFL, they're now playing, I think, 8 games this upcoming season in London, Germany, and France. I don't know France. I know London and Germany. So that's 8 games over there. So how do you increase money coming in? Well, if you're the SEC and you're the big dog on the block, and you have the Big Ten, that's also probably equal partners. The question is, who and how do you drop off members of your conference, and how can you combine them? Like, how can the SEC drop off Vanderbilt, Kentucky, maybe South Carolina, the Big Ten drop off Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, if they want to, and then you add SC. And I'm not look like Clemson, Florida State. You guys are in trouble. You're a big program, but you're not a big market, and that's going to be kind of the shift in things. So there's a good there. I mean, it's probably a 5-year legal battle, and then once the legal battle's over, then it's a TV battle. Is it coming? Yes. Is it coming imminent? No, because look, all these universities have a whole heck of a lot of reasons to pay whatever it takes to keep them into these conferences. If you're Illinois with really no football program and you're getting $60 million a year off the Big Ten Network, oh yeah, you're going to fight like heck to stay in there. Same with Vanderbilt, same with South Carolina. Like, these teams, take Stanford. They got one of the biggest endowments in the world. While they don't, no one pays attention to their sports, but that Pac-12 money, that check still cashes. And if
they can't sell out their soccer stadium, like 20,000, and
that money coming in, still those checks still get cashed.
Oh yeah,
and that's the same for Vandy, who is horrid.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to not imagine an SEC without Kentucky, because they're a decent football school, a great basketball school, pretty good baseball school. Vandy's got one thing it really brings to the table, and that's a baseball program. But they cash just as many checks as Alabama does.
Why is Notre Dame a Big East school in basketball but independent in football? What's stopping that from happening? I guess there's not much money in baseball in that sense, but you're absolutely right. Like, some of those schools are just like Alabama playing Chattanooga and, the second to the last game of the season. They're just automatic wins that anybody outside of the dominant team, nobody watches that. I mean, I haven't seen a Vanderbilt game in like 15 years.
And that would be the sad part of what I do think is the inevitable super conference and super minor league to the NFL is going to be Chattanooga's, your Samfords, your Tulanes. Like, those football programs, there's going to be a whole generation of kids that would be athletes that may not be able to because that funding is going to get cut off.
That's a good point.
I hope not. I really do.
I hope not too, but that's
a very good
what
point.
it's looking like.
Very
All right,
good point.
we have to move on. Robbie, that's a great point. I have to expand on that. We're getting low on time, and I want to talk real fast. You just brought up the perfect subject. We had a side note. There was a special article wrote by the Ohio State Rivals side, and it speculated to the future of some high-profile coaches. One of which was our boy Urban Meyer. In the environment, I do believe I believe Urban Meyer is a top 3 coach in the history of college football. That's my personal opinion. And if you were going to go over him, I would say both of them probably retired at the University of Alabama. You can argue Steve Spurrier. There's a lot of coaches you can argue, but Urban Meyer is in that group that you argue about.
And he's only 57. You know, he's not like 80 like Saban, you know?
Yeah, he horribly failed at the NFL level. They speculated that you might see him want to return to coaching at a Bowling Green, a mid-major school. Jim Tressel is now famously at a Division III school. Robbie, help me with his name. Jim McElwain, the former Florida coach.
The guy that was humping a shark.
He is currently head coach of Central Michigan. You see more and more of this failed big-time coach kind of going to that level.
Lovie Smith.
Could you see Urban Meyer at Utah even again, or Bowling Green, or Middle Tennessee State? I just couldn't wrap my head around it.
Not Utah. Whittingham's great, but the point.
Go ahead, Raj.
Go ahead. No, I mean, he asked. I was actually going to feed off of you, but
okay, I can go.
I mean, Urban. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Raj's first instinct was correct. Utah wouldn't want him back. Utah's in great shape. So whenever this question was posed earlier on the text thread, I thought of instantly Jim Calhoun, the old UConn basketball coach, who won 3 championships at UConn, probably one of the top 7, if not more, greatest basketball coaches of all time. Now he's coaching at a little Division III school. But he seems to love coaching basketball. I'm not sure Urban ever loved coaching. I think he loved winning.
I think Urban loves himself, but that's a great point.
And so I'm not sure Urban would want to go back to like a Bowling Green and coach football. He wants to win and win at all costs. And I mean, you can look at his Florida days with the recruits and they've been scrutinized. That was a win at all costs mentality. He got to the SEC and he said, I'm going to win regardless of what has to happen. I'm going to win. That doesn't translate to Division II, Division III. I don't think he's happy with just coaching. That's just –
he did some dirty crap, though. Like guys like Hernandez and other guys, obviously.
Yeah, like obviously none of us know him. We've never talked to him. That's just the view I've gotten from him from afar, is that coaching is not his MO. It's winning.
He's a narcissistic individual, to say the least, which I think he's more concerned about winning for his sake than anyone else.
In my opinion. But there's no chance he's going back to the NFL. Zero.
No. I mean, I brought this up multiple times. Pete Carroll's the only guy that I can remember that did it at both levels, which, hey, pat on the back has nothing to do with me. But, you know, Saban didn't do well.
Barry Switzer.
Oh, wow. There's a lot more money. You're right. I shall retract a previous statement. How about in the last 20 years?
Pete Carroll. Someone. I'm going to read you their resume. And it boggles the mind. These are only head coaching jobs. And I'm not going to read them. I am going to read them in order. Tarleton State, Ranger College, Texas Tech, Kentucky. That's a pretty impressive rise, is it not?
Is that how mommy?
No, that's the
No.
of actually what Billy Clyde Gillespie has done in his career.
Oh.
Kentucky, to Texas Tech, to Ranger College, to now he's the head coach of Tarleton State, a WAC school. But those guys love coaching, though. That's what I think.
Well,
Gillespie is a great coach, but he flamed out in the biggest spotlight there is, which is Kentucky, right?
Well, yeah,
And then he was dead.
And that's a great comparison. Look at what Rick Pitino did after he got fired at Louisville. Went to Greece, went to coach, not in the spotlight, just to coach basketball. Now he's at Iona, loving it. Got Iona to the tournament the year before, depending on how you want to do the calendars. The year before last, I think they lost their championship game this year.
Yes.
Like he's just a coach, right? Like he's just a basketball coach.
That guy makes Urban Meyer look clean, though.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
dirtiest
He's
coach
shady.
in history.
But Randall, back to your initial point. If you don't have Urban Meyer in your top 3 college football coaches of all time, I question your list of the top 3. I think he's that good.
I don't, but
he just had an ungodly run at Utah, Florida, and Ohio State.
I don't personally, but yeah, he turned Youngstown State into a perennial 11-win team.
Yeah.
Utah, out of nowhere, I don't even think they were in the pack back then.
No, they weren't.
Alex Smith, 12-win team, and then obviously Ohio State. Wait, no, I'm thinking of Tressel.
No, he won at Ohio State too.
What a title at Ohio State.
Oh yeah, Florida.
Florida.
And, yeah, he's up there. No
I mean, I
doubt about it.
think 3 championships in 12 years, something like that.
Yeah. And here's the unfortunate part of him going to the Jaguars. I think at the time he took the Jaguars job, he could have said yes and had USC's job.
We wanted him badly, and that was the rumor because he was on that Fox network with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, and all the USC message board websites were like, that was the prayer. And he left for the money. Oh, shoot. We really, really wanted him. We're happy now, but we had to suffer through 3 more years of moron. But yes.
At the point, he could have been the hire at Texas over Steve Sarkisian.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, we got about 5 more minutes here of show, and I want to get to the last part of a very special Bet Your Nuts. And both of the picks I'm going to give you, I placed future bets on tonight. So I sent out a text, and I found a better website. I hope you got the second website. It had much more teams on it. I sent out a text. Bet Your Nuts. Find you 2 teams that will beat their win total and 2 teams that will not make total. I started this week breaking teams down pretty heavily. I started feeling I kind of started like, it's getting close. Hey, and I even got a rivals assignment for a kid at Baylor who's a big time player. But I'm going to start this conversation with a team that I think, not my Vols, because everybody can know I could hometown the Vols into winning as many games as I've already said. I think they could win 9 games. But I found a team on my second list I sent out that I absolutely don't think there's no way they don't crush this. And I will throw it out to you guys and see what you think. South Carolina with Spencer Rattler, 5.5 games. South Carolina was almost as hot as Tennessee late, Robbie. Tennessee's got a 7.5, 8 win total. That 5.5 especially being in SEC East, seems like a very achievable total. And do you guys, if Spencer Rattler doesn't win 6 games at SC in his second year with Beamer, would you not be shocked?
Well, so
I wouldn't be.
correct me if I'm wrong. And I can't remember if South Carolina's crossover is LSU or Arkansas. It's Arkansas, isn't it?
It's Arkansas.
So my 2 unders on the board of winning less games than projected are both Arkansas and Florida. So I think South Carolina picks up both of those games.
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Randall. I think South Carolina gets that win total. And then I don't project that South Carolina will necessarily beat Clemson, but I'm staying with my gut. I think Clemson's in a little bit of disarray right now of where they're going.
They're top 5, and I can't quite understand that. The thing about South Carolina, I think Rattler's overrated, but they return everyone on a solid offensive line and Austin Stogner, who's a great tight end. Yeah, I mean, OL and DL are really, to me, what determines games. And I agree. Initially, I didn't think that. But when you look who's returning and, you know, Rattler's going to be a lightning rod there. I think he's overrated, but I think you're right. I think they do win. That's a low amount without a very tough schedule.
It's a cherry picking. Now they play Clemson out of conference, but they also play Georgia State and Charlotte out of conference. They Arkansas, Georgia State, South Carolina State, who I failed to mention,
and then they got Vandy,
Missouri. That's 5.
Yeah, that's like 7 wins right there.
I love that.
I really think they are.
But
all right.
Rattler is. Do you guys not agree? Rattler's overrated.
I do, but
he got. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
He's the best quarterback South Carolina's had in a generation. He is overrated.
I
like that Bentley kid, but then his leg fell apart, right? Jake Bentley. He's a good kid.
Robbie, who's up next? Robbie, go with that. You had a couple of unders. Go there.
You know, I have Arkansas as my under. Look, I think they're a good team. Arkansas has just gotten shafted in the division they're in. I think Arkansas, Auburn, maybe like Arkansas's above Auburn, but I just don't see 8 wins in that division. Like 7, you're telling me 7.5 for Arkansas? I just don't buy it. I'm going under that. My other under is Florida at 7.5. New coach, bad team, program in flux. Although it's for the majority of my life, my entire life, it's been an automatic win versus Tennessee. Not this year. Tennessee gets them. They're not getting to 8 wins.
I think you're right, Rod. You want me to throw one out, or you want to go next?
That was my unders. I got my overs next.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one of my unders.
Please.
Pittsburgh at 9.5.
Yeah, under.
I like under all day long.
Slovis murders the football. He takes it to sleep at night.
Yeah,
he's a sack master. No way.
Out of conference too. I don't see Pitt getting the 10 wins anyway this year. No. I do not see that. So
even if they had Addison, no.
I'm taking Pitt under 9.5. Rod, go ahead, and then Robbie will come back for your overs.
Back to unders. Oregon's at 9.5. I think even though their schedule is friendly, Bo Nix is their quarterback. I mean, you guys know better than anything. Is Bo Nix a winner? Is that a guy that's going to move the football? Is that a guy that's going to make a difference? No. Even though their schedule is where it is, relatively new coach, Oregon's not going to win 9 games, in my opinion.
I'm with you. That was one of mine. that's off my chart, but it was close. All right, Robbie, make money here, buddy.
All right, so my overs, and I promise I did not plan this, but it is to both universities that I attended. So I like Indiana plus 4.5.
You intended like 8 of them.
They Indiana lost a lot of talent, but I think Tom Allen's putting a good system in. I mean, 4.5 wins, they can get to 5 wins in the Big Ten.
Who's the quarterback this year?
I don't know, but I don't worry about that kind of stuff when I'm making bets, Raj. Just
well-founded, counselor, well-founded.
Judge, I don't know what the evidence is. I'm just telling you what I think it is.
I'm smarter than you, Judge. Don't worry about it.
The other one is the Vols 7.5.
Yeah.
The Vols are going to improve from last year. Hooker, second year in the system. Georgia, not that we can beat Georgia, they're taking a step back. We're getting some better non-conference games. I think we do handle Pitt this year. The what we lost last year, the system is getting put in place, and then I think we get to 8 wins.
The Vols tend to play to the level of competition, though. Under Heupel, I hope that's different, but there are so many teams they were so much better than in the past. I mean, it was under douchebag Jones, brick by brick, but it seems like, and that's possibly an effect of the SEC, right? You know who you're going to face. You're facing monsters, but yeah, they're. I think this team's different because of Heupel, and Hooker, who's a great college quarterback, but they consistently do that, right?
Yeah. Hey, just real quick, and one of the most interesting one of these win-loss totals for me, LSU 7.5. How does Brian Kelly do his first year in Baton Rouge?
He's got to win more than that.
Got to win more than that. All right, I've got 2 left. I'm going to give you the most controversial one that I'm going to make. Arizona under 2.5 wins.
I saw it at 4. That's an easy up.
Who's
Arizona's amazing coach? In the transfer portal. Jed Fish is the coach. Even though Jaden DeLora, the transfer from Washington State, is overrated, I saw it at 4 initially. At 2.5, yeah, I'm putting it all on it. They will win more than that.
I'm going to give you their schedule, Raj.
Oh, I know, but go ahead, please.
State, Mississippi State,
loss.
North Dakota State,
win, even though that's a tough game.
Cal, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, USC, Utah, UCLA, Washington State, Arizona State. I'm going to throw it out. I think their best case scenario is 3-9.
I think they win 4 games.
They may
beat Colorado.
Not win a
they'll
game.
Beat Arizona State. Depending on where they're at home, Mississippi State. That's not a great team. They've got a lot of transfers. Unfortunately, North Dakota State is pretty damn good, but we'll see.
Wait.
2.5 is pretty damn low, though.
Oh, I'll take the under. I'll go under.
I'm going
under 2.5. They'll beat Washington State and Arizona State. That's 2 right there.
All right. Well, we're going
and Colorado. I'm taking 3.
All right, Raj, your next one, and then I'll come back to my last one. And Robbie, you can just get your race this week ready.
One team I saw was Nebraska at 7. How is that team going to win 7 games? I know the Big Ten's not that awesome, but I know they get like Northwestern and Ireland and North Dakota, Georgia Southern. But after that, Oklahoma, Indiana, at Rutgers would probably beat them.
I saw Notre Dame at 9.5. I don't know about that either.
I think they'll be okay. Their defense is amazing, and Marcus Freeman's great as a coach. I saw Air Force at 8.5. I was like, wow, Liberty at 7.5 without like the best player in the history of the program. Army at 9.5. But when we're going to over, my biggest one is Utah at 8. That team's loaded.
All right.
And the pack isn't that great, and they'll win more than 8 guaranteed.
My other over was either Utah or SC. If SC don't win 9 games with Lincoln Riley his first year, with Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison, come on, man, they're going to burn Los Angeles down if they go 8-4.
I mean, they're weak at the wrong spots, which is defensive line, secondary. Yeah, the schedule's not ridiculously tough, but I believe there is something. I'm not just sandbagging, but, the entire roster is new. Like, no one's played, aside from the offensive line, ironically, but no one's played with each other. But you're right. With Addison, Mario Williams, who's amazing. They got Rice, Fresno State, at Stanford, traditionally, even though they suck, a bad game. Arizona State at home, Washington. I mean, those should all be wins, but it's still USC, and we're still used to blowing it. So
I'm still going USC, both USCs as my overs. All right.
I hope you're right.
It's been a great show. We got about 5 minutes to wrap up here. We had some technical issues, of course. Sorry about that, but we will move forward. Our boy B-Chain couldn't be with us tonight. Raj was on time, thanks to me being late.
Yeah, no shit. Oh.
Raj Davis, great pile up in NASCAR race. Crazy ending. Charlotte is always a fun race. What was your thoughts, and who's your bet your nuts for the week? I'm not even going to ask you what sport.
Yeah, so I don't know. For people that didn't watch it, I watched every lap of it. It was the best race, I thought, in the last 2 or 3 years as far as drama. It was the longest race ever. It took a long time, so it was probably 4 hours, 20 minutes TV time. It was entertaining start to finish. Really impressed. Jumpman Brands, Denny Hamlin, who owns the car company with Michael Jordan, they won in Charlotte. So it was, which I predicted someone from Jumpman would win on our text chain. Said it would either Kurt Busch or Denny Hamlin. I bet on the wrong person, though, but Hamlin won. So this week they are going to Illinois. And this is one of the tracks where it is truly to see who wins. This is a watch the qualifying and bet. So right now you have Kyle Larson, who's the favorite at plus 800 with Kyle Busch. So it's 8-1 out the gates before you know what's going on. So anytime you have a favorite at 8-1, that's a good sport to gamble on. What it's telling me, though, you got Truex, Hamlin, and Chase Elliott. So you got your Chevys and your Toyotas that are going to be your favorites. And so I'm going to watch qualifying. So I've now got into watching qualifying. So I'm like a super NASCAR nerd now.
I'm going to go over to meet my neighbor. You two got to start sitting on his porch.
Qualifying. Wow.
Yeah. So if I was betting today, I like Hamlin's momentum at plus 900. So you look at 9-1, Byron's at 10-1, one of those Chevys. I'm sorry, Hamlin's a Toyota. Byron's a Chevy under the Childress Racing umbrella. So
right, bro.
I like one of those, but I will wait. It's okay, but bet your nuts. For me right now, I will take William Byron at 10-1 for today, and then I will edit it after watching qualifying. But if I'm betting today, I'm taking William Byron.
Hey, Robbie, if you'll start texting me or calling me and know your NASCAR pick after qualifying, we'll start focusing it on the RiverCity-Media social media stuff.
Yeah.
Question for you both quickly, especially Randall knows who. Celtics or Warriors, offense versus defense? Tell me who's going to win and how many games.
God, I'm probably going to be the nerd here. I'm going to say the Celtics in 6.
I hope so. It's the Laker fans' biggest nightmare. But I'll always go defense versus these dudes shooting 48 threes. Although I respect this Golden State team more because it's homegrown. Jordan Poole, Draymond, Steph, Clay. Traded for Wiggins. I respect it way more than when they got Durant, although that was great when they lost the title. I'm hoping defense wins out, but yeah, Laker fan, this is depressing as hell.
No, this is the worst. I've got Grant Williams on the Celtics. I don't want the Celtics to win, but I want Grant to win. And I think the Warriors gonna win, but I'm gonna be unhappy any outcome. It's just not gonna be good.
He's changed the Celtics fundamentally. And Adebayo is an all-star, top 10 player in the league. He shut him down.
Yeah.
As we know, a brilliant player.
Yeah. My bet you're nuts, actually, I thought was tomorrow, was today, and it's already over. But again, I'm riding my boy Kyle Wright. Picks up his 5th win for the Braves. Lowers his ERA to 2.41. He has a WAR last year. Listen to this. I know this WAR stat we don't understand, but
I get it.
It's just last year his WAR was minus 0.6 games. His WAR is approaching 2 this year. He's given up 16 runs in 53 innings. 6 of those were to Boston early on. He's been lights out since then. Anytime the Braves run Kyle Wright out, they're still an underdog. You can get a run or 2 with the Braves. Make you living betting on the Braves when Kyle Wright pitches. Stay away from them any other time.
Also, I think Rafael Nadal beats these young guys and wins number 22.
I had that recorded and watched it after work today. I watched I thought he would be less energetic coming off a coach. Man, he was like an Energizer bunny out there. He looked like Nadal.
Two more tough matches left, but if he gets to 22, that's 2 above Joker. That's a tough hill to climb still.
Yep. Roger, you got anything to kind of wrap up? The boy done playing baseball, or has he got it some? Still got
all-star tournaments now. That's all they do is tournaments. So he plays Friday, this time at East Brainerd. One thing that baffles me is the Dodgers basically own every team aside from Pittsburgh. They lost 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh. They've lost 2 in a row against them. And by the way, Craig Kimbrell is just the worst. He gave it up the other night with a 1-run lead. And you may as well set the ball on a tee. My bet you're nuts, though, is Wake Forest at 7.5. Sam Hartman is a top 3 quarterback in the country.
Oh, wow.
And if you don't know him, and he's a handsome kid. Obviously, he was on QB1 with Chad Greer. He left to follow Greer to play 8-man football. That team is loaded. And even though they lost their running back, their schedule's fairly easy. BMI, Vandy, Liberty, Duke, Syracuse. Hartman is going to be, in my opinion, a Heisman contender.
And, of course, Wake Forest football coach, who many in Tennessee blame for Fulmer's demise, Dave Clawson.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Clawson was brought here Fulmer will tell you he was the coach in waiting. And that thing fell apart. Also, just flashing on ESPN, Aaron Rodgers hits a putt on 18 and wins the match. So, you know what?
And then Aaron Rodgers pats himself on the back per usual.
Golf might be the right sport for Aaron Rodgers because he doesn't need any teammates. So, Robbie, any final words from you, buddy?
No, looking forward to in our hometown of Chattanooga, River Bend this weekend.
This weekend?
Hopefully I'm out of quarantine by then. I will test negative before I go anywhere. So looking forward to that. And the NBA playoffs and NASCAR this weekend. And then, that's pretty much it.
Are you guys going to watch the finals?
Yeah.
NBA? You are?
I
don't think I will.
got a lot going. So I hope to watch Grant Williams play a little bit, though.
Oh,
Hey,
hell yeah.
final words, too, is the SEC East in Georgia. I was close to picking Kentucky, South Carolina, and Tennessee all to be over the win total. I think somebody gets Georgia from the East this year. I really, really do. I don't know who it is, but I think the East is a much better conference than it's been in the last decade. Let's face it, it's been Georgia, a bad Tennessee, a kind of bad Florida. Florida's been through 3 coaches. Tennessee's been through 5 coaches. Mark Stoops is probably the best coach in the SEC, not East, not named Kirby Smart. Kentucky has an All-American quarterback, probably a first-round pick. I don't know. I think the SEC East may be okay this year.
How many guys did Georgia lose?
The balls are at Georgia.
In the trenches.
I don't know where Kentucky is.
They don't sell beer there anymore. I wanted to go to that game, but they stopped beer sales. That's awful. But how many guys return for those? I mean, the trenches win games, and Georgia's trenches were ridiculous.
They lose 10 people on the defensive side of the football.
They reload, though. What about the offensive line?
Yeah, I don't know. I
agree with you, though. Somebody's going to get them.
I just feel like somebody's going to get them in the East.
And Bennett is, if the line's not there, Bennett doesn't make mistakes, but he's not going to beat you, especially with his legs.
Well,
you can get after him.
I think the running back the Bills drafted that was kind of low-key was better than we all thought he was.
Oh, great player.
A topic for another day, but just a food for thought. What is the maximum losses an SEC championship team could have and not make it to the college football playoff?
Oh, wow.
This is reckless speculation, but
LSU won it with 2 losses.
Oh, 2 losses gets them in 100%. 2 losses.
Wasn't there a few years ago where the conference wasn't that great? And somebody had 3 losses or so?
The last one that I know that won the SEC,
Alabama doesn't count.
For something was Auburn in 2004 was undefeated and didn't make it into any kind of playoff, I don't think.
They didn't have playoff back then, but they weren't that good. They called themselves the People's.
No, BCS was before that.
BCS been around since '98.
Yeah, that was when the playoffs started.
That's when it was traction. USC didn't face LSU the year before, and USC was number 1 in both polls, but the BCS voted otherwise, and LSU played Oklahoma and killed them. So, anyways, politics are politics. But
I think Oklahoma and USC played in 2004 because
5, yeah.
Auburn could never break maybe it was 5. Auburn, Cadillac Williams, Jason Campbell, and just a great
Ronnie Brown. That team
would have rather played them beat Oklahoma 55-19 with Jason White, the former Heisman winner, or Heupel. May have been Heupel after Jason White.
Heupel beat Florida State 9-9
and won.
Okay, he's older.
2001.
Yeah, it may have been Jason White.
Florida State
SC won 55-19 in the Orange Bowl.
Hey, Josh Heupel, quit telling people you're 6'3" out there too. I'm 6'4".
Great coach.
On you. You're 6 foot at the best, buddy. Don't hold on to those football card stats now that you're a coach.
Is he really? He weighs 280 pounds. I don't think he's holding on to anything aside from cheeseburgers.
Hey, he looks skinny besides me, man. That's what 320 will get you.
I disagree.
Guys, I'm sorry I was late tonight, but it was a great show. We'll have B-Chain back next week. Robbie, you need to get out of quarantine.
Tell me about it.
I kind of like him in quarantine.
Congratulations on Robbie Davis being named the Fantasy Football Commissioner. Thanks to Raj, our 2-time league champion. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I have veto power, though, but yes, Robbie is commissioner.
I predict that Lenny will have a full-blown nervous breakdown before football season's over.
I can't believe this smack is a media. I smack criminal like every draft. I feel like.
Yeah.
I saw Blake at a fraternity thing, even though Sigma Chi, I was out west. Ended up going to the UTC thing. Great time, but Blake's first thing he says to me, "Are you really gonna let Robbie be the commissioner?" And I'm like, you right there just reaffirmed why I am. Yes. First thing he said to me.
I love it. So my plan is to play nice guy card all the way up to the draft, and then just do something totally shit-heeled.
It
So
doesn't matter with Rob. I mean, the beauty is like when the brain starts circling, that's when the good rules come out.
have we got a time? Have we got a place for the draft yet? Have we decided where it's going to be?
Probably Robbie's place.
I was thinking we might stay in town this year, to be honest.
I'm not sure we can be seen in town anywhere and keep our
Yeah,
job.
One time we had it in a hotel in Cabo, and it did not take long for us to get kicked out.
Hey, I've always
So,
got
campgrounds are good.
myself. So unfinished.
All
All right, guys.
Peace out.
Speculation. I'm Randall. He's Raj. He's Robbie. Good night.